Welcome, welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Third Hour of Power. My name is Grady of This Mormon Life. Third Hour of Power is a podcast dedicated to reviewing the lessons from the Third Hour of Church, particularly the lessons from teachings of the prophets. This year, we're covering Ezra Taft Benson and 16, which is the elderly in the church. And I invited back as my guests James and Brian of 25th Month. And I'm so glad they're here with us again. Thank you guys for joining us.
Hey, this is Brian. We're stoked to be here.
This is James. Thanks, Grady. It's
fantastic. So if you're watching the video feed of this, you'll see that James is he uses satellite for his internet connection, and so it's a little bit on a delay, but we're making it work. We're having a good time. But thanks so much for joining us. Why don't you guys tell us just a little bit about what 25th Month does and what that means?
Yeah, this is Brian Hatch, co-founder of the 25th Month, and what we do is we help the transition home for those return missionaries become a transformational experience. We want to help return missionaries figure out all the things that get overwhelming when they get home, from career and education and marriage and dating and all those things that kind of pile up on us that everybody's asking us about. And we hold live trainings. We do online trainings, not trading. We don't trade money, dollars. We train return missionaries on how to set this foundational period of their life so that they can find happiness and success in life, and we absolutely love the return missionaries. So that's what we do.
So when I was coming home from being a missionary, we kind of had like a dating, I guess a dating twist on the investigator statuses, where as a missionary you had the finding pool, the teaching pool, and then the baptizing pool. And then as dating, we had the flirting pool, and then we had the hanging out pool, and the dating pool, and then there was like the one person that was in the engagement pool. Is that kind of the premise for the dating section?
As long as you don't bring multiple people into that engagement pool, you're in the right frame of mind for sure.
Okay, good. Well, good deal. Well, this lesson again, it's chapter 16, which is the elderly in the church. And it was hard for me to kind of go over this lesson because it really does speak a lot to people that are elderly, but there are some key things in there I thought were really important. So if you're a teacher and you're struggling with this like I was, I think we're going to have some good things for you to be able to make sure that your lesson will apply in Relief Society so they still find value in this lesson. And if you're a high priest, hey, you're going to be covered no matter what. But I know, Brian, we were talking offline. You said you had some really good insights on this lesson. Why don't you go ahead and lead us off?
Yeah, well, I have a special relationship with the elderly. I kind of hesitate to say that.
Is there a nice way to say elderly? Is there another more PC phrase?
Yeah, I hope that people that are elderly don't feel bad when we say that, because I don't know what else to say. But my grandfather is one of my best friends, and I have so much love and appreciation for what he's taught me in my life. And so when I kind of go through this lesson, I learned a lot about things that he's challenging with or struggling or dealing with at this time in his life. But really, when it comes down to it, I think there's a principle of dreaming, and I talk about that a lot. That we look forward. We look forward to this future in our lives. And what I loved about this lesson is that's what it did for me. Even though I get that I connect with my grandfather in this one, but for me, it was like, all right, Brian, how are you preparing to get these things done? My name is Brian, by the way, but how am I getting things done to make sure that when I get to this stage of my life, that these things aren't such a struggle, or that these things are just built in. I worked on that from the get-go, and so I just love that there's a list of items, and I'd love to hear your guys' feedback on a couple of those items, but I really liked that. For me, it really got me to think forward and think about, okay, what do I need to do today so that those things that the prophet's asking of me when I'm that age are easy. That's my thought on it anyways.
Yeah, this has been 2 weeks in a row with lists. I think we're really fortunate here. I think the church is really jumping on that social media bandwagon here. when they,
Yeah, and
you know,
I like the list out of it too as well. I'll keep going because I'm probably like on a time delay for you, Grady. Um, but what I like about it is uh, what it's focusing on at that point. It's definitely different. It's a different. It's a unique stage. It's different. You know, maybe all the kids are out of the house, and it really just focuses on things you can do at that age. It talks about President Benson being 86 when he was became the prophet. And like what Brian was saying, yeah, it lets us look forward. And one of those things on the list, it talked about financial responsibility and to be an important key of what they're doing at that age, because finances can be a very delicate situation at that age. And really, that's why at the 25th month, we're going to teach return missionaries to be financially responsible and get on a path of financial freedom, so that way that when they're at that stage in their life, they're not struggling. On the list, it talks about doing temple service, going missions, serving in callings, and those things can be prohibitive if you aren't financially strong. And so that's a good point to make sure that we're doing now at a younger age, so that way we're in a good position later in life to do those types of things.
yeah, one of the things that me and my wife were talking about tonight
Temple.
is that we were talking about just the idea of provident living and agency, and how when we are wise stewards of our health, we need to make sure that we're doing everything we can to protect that for the future, so that we can continue to serve. If we don't take care of our bodies, and they deteriorate faster than they were naturally intended to, we can't serve as well. If we are not wise with our money, we don't have the money saved up we might end up working to our grave and can't serve the way that we could serve before. That was really part of what brought me and Chrissy out to Arizona. We were in Southern California, which is extremely beautiful and a wonderful place to live, but it's also a very expensive place to live, and we were barely making it, and we thought, you know what, at this point, we're not going to have anything to retire with. We're not going to be able to, afford to send our kids to school or even missions. We're going to have a tough time with this. And we thought, we need to make a change to make sure that we can have money set aside for the future. When I was making sure she was still the right one, she started talking about a mission, and she was, I'll have to go into back into the flirting pool. Because I was like, oh, mission, I'm not gonna wait 18 months, and but then we kind of talked more about it, and so I made an agreement with her. I said, okay, well, we can get you to the engagement pool, but in order for you to get there, you need to put this mission aside until we can go together. And so that was the promise we made, was that when we got to the age our children were out of the home, we would go and we would serve a mission together, and that takes financial independence. You can't do that if you're living paycheck to paycheck. And so we made the choice that we were going to make some sacrifices and live where today it was 110 degrees, because we wanted to make sure that when the time came and we were ready, that the financial burden wouldn't be there for us, so that we could serve freely.
Well, I think, we're definitely hitting the financial chord very hard here, but on that same accord, it says that you should be able to plan frugally for the years following full-time employment. And I think, President Benson, when he wrote this, that's a while ago, and I know that he had future foresight. But the people that are living right now, there's a lot more of them that have to work way later on in life. And so that the years following full-time employment is becoming a harder situation. And that's what's limiting and preventing people from serving missions and doing extra things they want to. Even if that's just going to see your grandkids that live in a different state. There's a lot to figure out there financially, and I think that if you set those foundations at a young age, that you're rocking and rolling. I mean, and one of the things that I really loved about this lesson, it talked about elderly. I feel bad about that. Is they're supposed to collect and write family histories. Well, I think about that in my youth, in my age right now, or if I was a return missionary right off my mission, if I'm writing in my journal, I'm writing every day. How easy is that going to be when I'm 70, 80 years old to compile my life history, family history? Simple. But if you don't do it, it's like, oh man, I'm like 80 and I don't remember what I did when I was 12. I got no idea. And I just love that it's all about like doing the things that it says right here, no matter what your age is. Work on each one of these bullet points, and that way, man, you can have a future like magical and amazing. I just love it. I love it.
Yeah, my wife Christy, she has kind of become the adopted family historian for my side of the family. She's been so great. All of our grandparents now have passed away, but before they passed away, she was so good about tracking them down, getting video, asking them about their lives, and so there are things that we have that were nowhere else because she was, a pioneer in that. She even, helped her grandma on her side to be better about writing her memoir. So we've got a whole bunch of history from her that she had written. That was stuff that Christy was really paramount in saying, hey, I want you to write this stuff down, Grandma. I want to have this. That's a big part of it. I think the most important part here is number 7 on that list, which is to render Christ-like service. All these things that we talk about, financial independence, physical independence, it's so that we can bless other people, and it allows us to give those blessings. And I think that's such an important thing to do, and I think probably a more worthwhile thing to do with your last years. Whether that's 20 of your last years or 5, but to be in the temple and to feel close to the Spirit, to be able to be close to your grandchildren and share with them the gospel. Because I have no living grandparents, I've adopted a bunch of grandparents in wards that I've been in. And one of my favorite grandmas, because they're all my favorite, is Grandma Nan. And I love that Grandma Nan, I think it's every Thursday, she goes to the elementary school in the neighborhood and just reads with kids. None of her kids go to that school. There's no specific tie, except for there's kids in the wards there. But, she just wants to go and just serve in her community, and that's something that she finds worthwhile, and it's a blessing to the community because she's been able to do that.
I'm going to go ahead. If there's nothing... Oh, okay, good. James is in. Sorry, guys.
Okay, I was going to say render this, and it's really about, 2 parts. There's leaving a legacy, that will follow, and think of the impact that she's having on these kids. My life, when people have done things to help me or serve me, and it really makes you want to be a better person. It makes you want to do good things for somebody else. And at that age, you could have 20, 30, 40 years of life still to live, where you're giving back to the world or doing great things. So absolutely, like rendering service or doing Christ-like things is such a powerful thing. Even at that age, especially, like who doesn't love a grandma or grandpa, and appreciate their time. It's fantastic.
I think if you get into your 60s and you're giving back and you're giving service back to the community, good on you. You've done the right thing. You've set up a foundation in your life that has made it awesome for you. And that's why, I focus on that 20-year-old. Those are the most like selfish, not in a negative light, but a selfish decade of your life is figuring your stuff out. So that when you're 60, 70, 80, I mean, at a minimum, hopefully much before that, but at least at those periods of time, like the lesson states, you can be doing these things of giving Christ-like service. That's the top. That's the cream of the crop. You don't get any better than that. And if you prepare and are ready for that stage of your life, it's going to be awesome. And if you're not, man, you're going to be working until your fingers are bleeding. I mean, it's just going to be rough. And that's why I have such appreciation for those that have set such good examples for me, and really working hard and creating an elderly life of joy.
Yeah, and in Section 5 in the manual, it kind of helps give us direction, too, of how we can show love and also to care for those who are advanced in age. And I love it. One of the things it says here is it says, we encourage families to give their elderly parents and grandparents the love, care, and attention that they deserve. And I think it's so important that we honor and respect our parents, our grandparents, and even those who maybe we've adopted, whether that's the widow in the ward that maybe doesn't have family that lives nearby. or just the person is, that's older, that you're just really nice. There was a thing that Chrissy did. My wife Chrissy, she was with the young women, and I don't know how it got started in the ward, to just go there and give her service, and and to be kind to her. And it was such a neat thing because Christy and this woman, they became friends. And she always, she talks to me and she just says, even though we're like 60 years apart, 50 years apart, I mean, I think of her as Heavenly Father sees her, that even though there's a big disparity in age right now, when we get to the other side of the veil, we'll be the same. And we'll be best friends, and it will be great. And so it's just the idea that think that, we're eternal. We're all in different ages. There's babies, there's kids, there's adults, there's older people, there's middle-aged people. And sometimes that causes some rift, but we need to make sure that we're focusing on what we have in common, and the fact that we're children of our Heavenly Father, and that He loves us and He wants us to be happy, and that we should be doing things to make sure that help are getting it, to make sure that we are able to lighten their burdens.
Totally agreed, man. Well said.
All right, is there anything else you guys want to add to the lesson this week?
For me, it reminded me of a sister. Growing up in my ward, who was elderly, and she was our door greeter, and she would do it with so much an enthusiasm. Every Sunday, you were excited to walk in there. She'd give you a big old hug and shake hands if she could, and big smiles, and it really made you feel very welcome walking in to that church building. And she loved it, and she loved people, and she made an impact. What felt like warmth and home and unity. And so even the little things make a great impact of her. And I remember at a certain time she got to a point where she couldn't take care of herself, and the ward jumped right in to make sure she was taken care of for her needs, because they just remember all the great things she did. Now, regardless if they do that or not, obviously you want to serve and help, but what a great impact she had of love and kindness in her life.
Yeah, well, it certainly makes it easier, to show love to people who have showed love to you. Well, certainly. Well, I appreciate you guys for joining us this week. Why don't you guys take just a moment, just to tell us a little bit more about the 25th month and what you guys do, and if you guys have anything else coming up soon.
This is James. I'm going to take a little chance to talk about, we have an event coming up next month, August 14th and 15th. It's at the Red Mountain Ranch Country Club, and we're inviting returned missionaries to come to this event. We're on 6 core principles that help in their transition of coming home. We'll talk about spiritual patterns, goal setting, financial management, freedom. We'll talk about dating to marry, what it looks like, and how to best prepare for it. We're going to do career counseling, have a career test, career professionals like a lawyer, a dentist, a teacher, and so forth, to speak directly to the missioners. They get feedback on what path they may want to take in the future. We'll also have professional development discussions too, on how to improve themselves and become their best. And so this is an event that we're excited to provide for the returned missionary. We know it's going to make a great. And for those that are hearing this, we'd like you to, if you know of a return missionary, you are a return missionary, you'd like to attend for Grady and the group and what he's trying to do here. We're doing a promotion for it. It's Bring My Friends as a promo code at 20. If you go to 25thmonth.com, 25th.com, and click on the event and use a promo code Bring My Friend, all lowercase. That will get you into the event at no cost. And this is a limited seating. We only have 50 seats for the venue. So go to that, register, or to see me there.
And just to reiterate very quickly, this is Brian Hatch, co-founder of the 25th Month. Our event is on August 14th and 15th. That's this year. That's this next month. It's for the return missionary. if you would like to gift a seat to your return missionary, someone in your life that you love and appreciate and want them to get foundations set in their lives when they transition home, go to 25thmonth.com, 25thmonth, month.com. You'll be able to find the order there and be able to jump on and enter in a special promo code just for Grady's listeners. We love Grady and what he's done for the church and otherwise. And that's Bring My Friends, plural, but that's all lowercase. And that way you can get a free ticket to the event, which is ridiculous. So we're excited to have everybody there. But anyways, we love you guys. Thank you, Grady, for having us.
Yeah, you bet. Plus it includes lunch, so you can't go wrong there. Now, for people that are outside of the East Valley, or maybe are listening to this on Sunday morning before it's shared, so they've missed it, what's one other thing they should look for on your website?
We have video trainings that go over goal setting, that go over dating and marriage, that go over financial freedom. We have different video trainings you can find at our website as well. And we've done 1,000 surveys of return missionaries to find out what is going on in their lives. And it's very, very interesting, the stats that we've found. You can go to our website and download those as well. So check us out, 25thmonth.com, and you'll be able to find all the links there.
Awesome. So yeah, if you're a stake president or you're a bishop and you've got elders and sisters that are coming home from missions, you want to know how to best help them, that's a great resource. I was reading the surveys and I was surprised at some of the results of what is causing some of our missionaries to go inactive, and it's important that we're proactive on how to prevent that from happening. So Brian and James, I love you guys on, and I appreciate it, and thank you guys for listening. We're really lucky that we have been able to do this for you guys. I love it because I get to be kind of the goody two shoes in elders quorum. People will ask, the teacher will ask, who read the lesson, and I'll sheepishly raise my hand. I read it, and I feel embarrassed, but it has helped me to get more out of the lesson, being able to prepare, and I hope we're doing the same thing for you guys. Also, you guys can check out our benefactors This Week in Mormons, where you can learn more about Sunday school. It's called Sunday School Bonanza, and there they talk about the Sunday school lesson. And this year is awesome, studying the New Testament. And as we start to get into the epistles, it's going to be a big help for you guys. So on behalf of Brian and James, my name is Grady of This Mormon Life. And until next time, we bid you all a fond adieu.